Hello and welcome to Unbox the podcast that comes to you every Friday to help you live your best life. I'm your host, Sahar Palmer. Today I had a candid conversation with a friend, Karren Kennaby, a new friend. Actually, a mutual friend suggested to put us together. And we had an amazing conversation about women, men, finding balance, having it all, and what is the new direction of business and how mentors or coaches can help. I hope you'll enjoy this conversation, and I hope that you'll join us for a project that we're coming up with on LinkedIn next month in August.
So I wonder how we can help one another bring more magic into the world.
Absolutely. Have you any thoughts? What do you do, Karren? I've heard so much about you from Stewart. He told me you have this amazing platform.
Thank you. So I created Women at the Top a few months ago, and this is all about helping women to rise up to be the best they can be, and very much embracing divine feminine as part of that, although not necessarily always overtly. It's becoming more overt. For example, my next event, which is at the end of this month, I'm actually calling a spirited business, because I just thought, let's just be completely open about this.
How interesting.
And so Stuart's speaking. Stuart and I have done a lot of events together, Voice of Change events.
Oh, wow, wonderful.
Yes. And so really helping more and more women to get into the flow, to embrace their sort of energy. And so, I mean, the headline for Women at the Top is very much about women who are 45 plus, who want to still achieve success without sacrifice. That's my tagline, success without sacrifice. So without sacrificing relationship, health, and everything else. Because I have had great financial success. I had a multi-seven-figure business for 21 years. Not that it was seven figures for all those 21 years.
No, I understand.
But an event business with a team of 24. But I lost it all. Literally lost it all. I did split up with my partner. I lost the house. I lost the business. So I'm very acutely aware of that and of helping women. I only work with women. I've been a coach mentor for women for about 14 years now. To help
find
them
the balance and achieve their success.
Yes. To just do business in a more feminine way. Although I certainly didn't describe it as such when I first started doing it. Mm-hmm. And, I started my business in the early 80s. We were still very much sort of, shoulder pads and
yes.
You're a man in a skirt. And so really shifting all of that, which is shifting, and embracing what I like to call the new normal of collaboration and connection and joy and love and abundance, and really bringing that in. So that's where I'm at, and it's a global platform because I've lived in the UK, I've lived in France, I've lived in Qatar, and I've lived in the States. So my connections
wonderful, amazing, bless you. And how does that platform operate? Is it a Facebook group or is it a program?
No, well, there is a Facebook group, but there's a membership program which at the moment, is recently launched and is at launch phase. So I've just got founder members coming in at £15 a month. So it's really just sort of testing the model. And then we have regular happy hours, for connection. We are starting co-working groups. We have masterclass once a month. And yes, there's Facebook groups as well. I'm finding people are less and less interested in Facebook.
Oh, definitely. I don't think anybody goes there anymore. But,
the energy is horrible.
Nothing comes out of it for me, I don't know who it is for, but there we are.
I love LinkedIn.
Yeah, LinkedIn for me just starting to pick up,
Okay.
It was difficult to break into because people were so, like that. But now, we began flirting.
Yes. Yeah. So that's what I do. So I link in obviously my coaching and mentoring, and I have a a group called Get It Done in 21. So that's where that is at the moment, and it's building up to, I mean, the membership will be something like £50.
I understand your business model, but the reason that I asked is like, I'm just thinking, what is it that we could do together?
Absolutely.
What I'm picking up from you is that you're really focusing on LinkedIn, and that feels right for me. I mean, for you to do, but it also feels right for me. And I was just wondering, do you do like live, whatever, free webinars or talks on LinkedIn? Maybe if we come up with a theme, we talk about whatever, women, energy, finding the balance, you know, things like that. Or just have a normal conversation, really.
Absolutely. And it's something that, the funny thing is, most of the time I'm really good at walking my talk. But one of the things I've been getting my clients doing is lunch and learns on LinkedIn, and I haven't started doing them myself.
There you are.
But it's on my list, so let's do it.
Yeah.
Absolutely, let's do it.
And if you like, we could do that once a month or whatever. We'll find different themes. We can brainstorm some topics and ideas. But you're also quite intuitive, it feels to me. And I think if we leave it loose, like Lou and Stuart and I did, I think it would just flow.
I think it would too.
You know?
And I love that. I mean, a lot of the time with my events, they're not the masterclasses, but the longer events, the 1 or 2 day events, they're conversations.
Yes.
Most of them are conversations. Some people want to do a presentation, and that's where the juice is. You know, that's where the magic comes out, isn't it? Yes. I think we could definitely.
I think maybe, like, let's say if a case comes to you every episode, or if a case comes to me, we can also kind of compare how we dealt with that, or let women know, you know, what are the kind of problems that they feel. I certainly had my own when I started in the corporate world. But I have to tell you, it may sound strange, I really don't see myself as a woman. I see myself as a person. And we grew up that way. You know, my brother and my sister and I were raised equally. It wasn't like you're a girl, you dress that way, or you're a boy, you're allowed to stay up late. And in that way, when I started the corporate world and I got all these, you know, problems, you know, like with older men, and I was only 23 and I was their boss and stuff, I just put it aside, you know, and I dealt with it as a man would. And I think Stuart picked up on that, and he said, even your intuitive abilities you developed in a masculine way. I said, I did, because we need the two aspects, we need the two sides. And even men have a divine feminine, and it's just about meeting in that point. And I think just these are what my thoughts are, so that you never get shocked when we when we discuss anything. I don't know what divine feminine is. I know it's a buzzword right now, and all my girlfriends say that, and I keep telling them, what the F is that? Because we are all divine. I understand that it's a term to say to women, own up. For me, that's what it means. And I think if we own up to own who we are, that's not being divine feminine, that's just being divine, because we're supposed to.
Absolutely.
You know, and I never saw myself, oh, I'm a woman, you know, men are going to fight me. I never did. And this is why I transcended all these challenges, you know, in my 20s. And even now, you know, I remember a time when I was 11 or 12, and we were at the Sea Club in Kuwait, you know, the beach and playing sports. And Mum came to pick us up in her Mini. She had a lovely Mini. And a couple of boys were chatting me up, and I got really nervous. I was extremely shy when I was young. And I saw her car, and I ran to the door. And then she said, why are you running? What do these boys want? I said, they were asking me my name. And she said, yeah. And why are you embarrassed to give your name? And I just looked at her, and she said, go back and introduce yourself. And I'm like, what? I wanted the earth to open up and swallow me. And she made me go back. She made me go back and introduce myself and not be nervous. And that was a huge turning point in my life.
Yes.
Because I didn't go into that shell, you know, I'm a woman, I'm a girly, I'm shy. But I think what went wrong, I believe in role modeling. And I think a lot of women did not have a role model, because the women who made it, penetrated the man's world, had to be kind of aggressive and things like that, because this is what they thought, because there was no role model before. I know certainly when I started becoming a professional psychic, in England, there was no role model. There was no career book on how to become,
No.
So I kind of made it, and I understand what it is to kind of be a pioneer in a field and not have a role model. Now, 20 years later, or 30 years since I've graduated, that's extremely different. We have women supporting women. I have a company here in Dubai who hire only women simply to support them. And they did a fantastic online course with me during lockdown to help them cope because, everyone was so lost. And they recognized before the normal companies that employees needed a holistic awareness, and support. And they bought that course, which changed my course, the course of my life, really. So I would like to kind of talk about that because it's important to come out of that, archetype, because a lot of women think being feminine or in their divine feminine is about not doing anything. And I don't think anything can be done about not doing anything. There you are.
Absolutely. Divine anything, is powerful.
Yes.
Is powerful, isn't it? Yeah. Because that's where the energy really comes from. So yes, it's very naive, isn't it, to think that it's weak and it's
retract, or be what's the word I'm looking for? A while ago, I was telling a friend here, she's into sovereignty and divine feminine and stuff, and I said, I'm really trying very hard different things. And maybe this was about a couple of months ago when the world was really confused. And nothing was happening. Not really, not much, not leaps. And she said, maybe you need to be in your divine feminine. And I said, Katrina, what does that mean? If you want to build a house, you need to make a plan. You need to hire an architect. You need to buy bricks and mortar. Otherwise, that house ain't going to be built. And all I was doing was that, And I think there's a bit of confusion as to what it is to be a woman, if you will.
I agree, and I think as well, law of attraction gets very misunderstood.
Yes, absolutely. Well done.
And used as a cop-out.
Yes.
Again, I don't need to do anything because I've just
visualize it. It doesn't work. It doesn't work.
No, you've got to take action, haven't you?
Yeah.
And I think I was lucky. I was brought up to be an action taker, and so and my parents brought me up to believe I could do anything I wanted to do.
Absolutely.
Unfortunately, I then got married too young. I got married at 21.
But I think it might have shown you, by contrast, it might have helped define what your core values are, who you are, what you believed in, and what kind of partner you wanted.
Yes.
And, when I look back at my experiences, I really love all of them, although many of them have caused me heartache. But if it wasn't for them, they wouldn't have shaped my life path in that manner. I wouldn't be where I am today.
Absolutely.
And it's just nice not to bear a grudge, because I hear a lot of women kind of bear grudges, and that's very toxic and doesn't get you anywhere. And whatever you resist persists anyway. And if you really believe that, you're going to still meet more of that, male role model, which is not necessarily a reality for a lot of women. Men help shape my life, maybe even more so than women.
Yes, absolutely. It's such a stuck and heavy energy, isn't it, when people get bitter.
Yes, and I hear it from women more than men, by the way.
Yes.
Because we're more emotional, we're more intuitive, but we're not aware enough to know how to process that energy. We put it in the wrong perspective, and then that's it. We carry it as emotional baggage forever.
Yes, and we have to have this balance between masculine and feminine.
Absolutely. And, for me, it's not a straight line. You can never be 50% balanced. It's literally like that yin-yang.
Yes.
It's kind of, sometimes you have more feminine, sometimes you have more masculine, but it's overall keeping the balance and recognizing that one anchors the other.
Absolutely. It's interesting, isn't it? Because I hosted, when I was leader of QPWN, I hosted an absolutely fascinating panel discussion about whether or not you can have it all. And yes, you can have it all, but you can't have it all in that single moment.
Yes.
And it's
about balance.
It's priorities, isn't it? And your values determine your priorities at that moment.
Exactly. Exactly.
And then you can have it all. And I think the sad thing is, if you expect to have it all in that one moment, you're just going to be constantly frustrated and disappointed. And I think that's where a lot of people get to.
And I think it's very limited mindset to feel that if I didn't have it all at this juncture in my life, I've missed out, because it makes you feel a bit resentful, a bit angry, a bit bitter, a bit competitive, and then you lose sight. And you said a very good thing. It is about priorities, and priorities do change with our outlook in life, with our, the transitional period that we're in. And I think it's more like juggling. You have to master juggling 2 balls, and then you add a third. Otherwise, you're going to create imbalance.
Yeah, absolutely. It's interesting.
So it's a skill.
It is a skill, isn't it? And it's learnable.
Yes.
And I think
Absolutely.
this is something else, isn't it? That there is an ease with which people just think it's all going to happen on its own. But you can learn so much of this.
Yes.
And in fact, you can learn to trust your intuition more. You can learn to be in touch with your magic more. You can learn all of this.
Yes, the personal skills and developing your own inner compass, which cannot happen if you have any issues. And this is where the Unbox mentoring comes in, because I always tie it to the 4 dimensions of change. So you have to bring your body into alignment, your emotions into alignment, your belief system, as well as your mindset, your thought process. A lot of coaches don't even think about thought process, because you could know what you know, but you put it together in the wrong way, and then it leads to the wrong decision. And finally, accountability. And once all of that is in alignment, it's almost like your antennas are going to be immediately aligned, with your inner senses, and then you can kind of intuitively be inspired. I mean, all inspired means is, literally from spirit. So you're literally, it's not something forced, but something that just kind of comes to you naturally, which means it is intuitively the right step forward. Does that make sense to you? Because I feel you feel the same way.
100%.
Wonderful.
And I think it's just so perfect, isn't it? Because everything is alignment. I mean, I've got goosebumps, because that is where life is purely in flow.
Yes, absolutely right. And then you don't have to worry about, am I working with men or women, or breaking in that field or another. You just simply transcend all of that and all the problems that come with it, because you exist on a different platform or framework, for a lack of word.
Yes.
And that's the thing. It's not just passively is the word I was looking for. It's not passively, visualizing it. Or a client of mine said, "Oh, I started my gratefulness journal." And I said, "Who asked you to do that? I asked you to do this." And she looked at me, because I know gratefulness is so in. But I think gratefulness is really effective when you are first aware of who you are and where you are, Otherwise, you wouldn't be aware of what to be grateful for,
No.
So
you just get grateful for the superficial stuff.
Exactly. Well, this sounds exciting. This could very well be a podcast. I think I will make it so. Because I really enjoyed this.
Oh, wonderful. So,
because it is now perhaps that businesswomen are really kind of seeking our help openly. They recognize it's not just about developing the skills, but it's also about the awareness and seeing things from a different point of view.
Absolutely.
So we could do that. And I have an online academy called Unbox Academy, where membership is free. It's on my main website. I'm creating paid courses, gradually, but at the moment they're all free. So what I can also do is put this under, webinars for business women, and they can just have access to it and get to know about you.
And I think reciprocally, Sahar, I think I can put the Unbox Academy onto the Women at the Top website as well, and everything that we do together.
But I think it will serve a lot of people, and it'll be my pleasure to do that.
Yes, absolutely. And this is it, isn't it? It's about getting the awareness and the understanding out there.
Yes.
And more and more people being touched. And, that's...
I agree with you. And I think when they are inspired, because a lot of problems that we have is we can't recognize who can help.
Yes.
And if you're aware, and they listen to you listen to me or whomever, and they feel a resonance, for me, that is absolutely no competition, because I believe we resonate towards what our needs are in that particular, in time. And I mentioned to Stuart that a lot of coaches here are kind of surprised that I support them, I repost their posts and things, and I keep telling them we are one, we really are one, except everyone has a different kind of entry point, and it's what you feel you're ready, depending on whatever point you are at, you will resonate with that. And if you can help them, then that's great. And if at a different period in time I can help them, then that's super amazing. So it'll be, seriously, I mean it, it'll be my pleasure to have all of that available. And let women or men, maybe men need to know what it is to be a woman, to start a business in a man's field. But it's really intriguing, because when I was growing up, when I was a young girl, all the secretaries were women, all the hairdressers were women, all the cooks were women. And I was as I was getting older, all the secretaries became male secretaries, the hairdresser became male, the best chefs became male, because women went to the corporate world or whatever,
Yes.
And just men went in without any issues. I mean, nobody complained about a man being a hairdresser or a chef, or why are we making a big issue out of a woman working? Really, it's the women who make the issues.
Yes.
And I would probably go to a male hairdresser than a woman hairdresser. I don't know. I think it's when you unleash that creativity, if it's not naturally yours, gendered, to typify, then there is something very creative. And when women do a business or start a business, again, there is something very creative and special there. I'm not saying any is better than anyone, but I think what is happening is this balance point, so that the two halves can understand each other, tolerate, get along, so we can all push forward,
Yes. And you've got to bring the structure together with the inspiration.
Yes.
You've got to, haven't you?
There is no yin without yang,
Exactly.
You need the container, which is the yang. You need the structure, which is the yang. And then the content or the essence will follow. Otherwise, the content will have no shape or form.
No, it's just spinning.
It just goes, like Mercury. It just goes anywhere without direction.
Yes. Oh, we are going to have some fun, aren't we?
I love this. And if you agree, believe me, I will publish it as a podcast. I think it's so, what's the word? It's so improvised, so impromptu. And it's really lovely. And it's just wonderful for me to be able to talk freely like that to someone, because all my girlfriends go, "Ooh, don't say that." I'm like, what? And I can tell you even more. It's the women who gave me problems in the corporate world more than men.
Was it?
Because, typically what women try and do is they're fighting, aren't they, to preserve their position and their place within an organization. So they get to be like that. And a lot of women go through the glass door and close it behind them, because they're afraid you might come and take my place. Maybe not so much now, but certainly a few years ago.
It was.
Now we have a lot of prominent women who are trying to keep that door open and guide other women. Yeah,
who are a bit more enlightened about...
It's all about awareness, isn't it?
Yes, it is. It really, really is. And... yes, when I think back, when I was in my hotel management career and I went up the ladder very quickly, it was men who helped me.
You see? Really, I think if a person is an enlightened person, is a professional, they're not going to behave in any stereotyped way. Really.
No.
No. And I remember one of my own bosses, said, if you step up, that would help us, because then somebody else within the organization has to step up, and then that way our culture and what we believe in will grow.
Yes.
That was my experience, from the top, the management. And I think this is what makes the difference. And if management sets the culture like that, then employees will follow. But
Yes.
if the culture is competitive and if you don't work 12 hours a day, you're going to lose your job, then you get into a whole different dynamic.
Yes.
That's not really going to help anyone,
It'll be very interesting to see what happens in this next phase, won't it? Because there's now this thing they're talking about, what is it, resignation culture or something. There's going to be this huge wave of, excuse me, really top-rate people just leaving because they have so many choices.
Yeah. I think it's changing. The business world is really changing. I can already see new graduates are not being hired. I can see that corporations don't value certifications anymore as much as they want skills, experience, and diversity. And typically college students would go in and specialize and do MBA and this and that. So where does the diversity and the skills come from? And they're looking for people who could multitask, do different things under the same job description, which people who were previously in the job world would probably have, rather than students and graduates of business school. So there's a huge difference because they recognize that, but I also feel sorry for these graduates who've spent a lot of money and have the knowledge and don't have a chance to experience or even express what they know. So I think a different platform will exist.
Something will emerge.
They might even start their own thing. They're all struggling now, but I feel they will, because it's a massive energy and potential that you don't have an avenue to express. Where is that going to go? And a lot of people are, languishing. It's not even confusion. It's almost like giving up because we don't know what the next step is. And this is where I feel, if these conversations, like our conversations.
Absolutely. And I think, the whole world of work is going to change anyway, isn't it? It is changing, and it has to change because the structure of the world is changing. But it's evolving faster, I think.
Very fast right now. I feel that. You're absolutely right. You can learn very quickly. You can catch up very quickly. It's kind of like being in the eye of the storm. And as soon as quickly the storm settles down, you're like, oh, the landscape has changed. What do I do? Where do I go? What do I call myself? I met one of the businesswomen in a conference in Dubai about a year or two ago, just before lockdown. And it was a conference about, again, women and how the United Arab Emirates is balancing, they call it gender balance. And now the gender balance in the Emirates is 46%, which is amazing. So, they're systematically working at it as policies, filtering down and so on. So anyway, I met this fantastic lady and she goes, what do you do? And I said, I'm a life mentor or a personal mentor. And she goes, oh, is there such a thing? I said, there must have been, because I've been doing it for 28 years. But then we became friends, and because the first thing, what is that? What is your qualification? And that reminded me, it was ironical because we are in a place of, all about women and women supporting women. But we're good friends now. So I think it's great not to label stuff. I think we label out of fear because we're only trying to find a point of reference.
Yes.
But if the points of reference are wrong, then you're going to build up the wrong idea or the wrong image and therefore create a conflict instead of collaborating and moving forward.
Absolutely. It's so interesting because the number of conversations I have with women who claim they believe in collaboration, but you can feel them energetically backing away at the idea of actually sharing stuff.
I think they're afraid to give it away.
Pardon?
They're afraid to give it away because they think we're going to lose it. So I think it just goes back to the mindset. If they were aware that this is like a river flowing, if I open up, there'll be abundance, there'll be flow for everyone. And also, if you do know what to do, if you could see a different way forward, you wouldn't limit yourself to that.
No.
I think, in terms of inspiration, it all comes from the same source anyway. Nobody, by definition, even philosophers and cognitive scientists tell you that there is no original thought, there is no original idea, It comes from the same pool. So the more you distribute, the more you're going to receive, if you see what I mean. And then...
Absolutely. And it's interesting because I started journaling this morning.
Oh, great. You journal. Woo.
Oh, I journal. Yes, I journal. I started journaling this morning on something that I want to put into a post about FOMO. And, I mean, people talk a lot about FOMO.
Yeah, very trendy.
Yes, but talking about actually, well, what's underneath the FOMO? Because it's not just per se the fear of missing out, is it? It's the fear of I'm not enough if I don't have this. I'm not good enough if I don't, have this. Who am I not going to see if it's what's underneath. So that was bubbling away for me this morning, and that's all part of that whole thing. Well, it's all part of the not enough culture.
And how you identify with yourself. You see, part of my work, I call it Unbox the Real You, is to find out that you are infinite, you are unlimited, like literally limitless. And if you box yourself, then you would limit your options. And, the FOMO thing is about not having the right perspective. Because I feel, if this is my perspective, if I miss out on this, this is my world, therefore I don't exist in it. Well, what if I transcend that by saying, okay, what do I want to create? What kind of life? What kind of frame of reference? So maybe they don't lack self-esteem or whatever it is, but it's the wrong analysis or synthesization of what our life path is and what is it that we want to build.
Yes.
So for me, the first step is own who you are, get to know who you are, redefine how you identify with yourself, and then you'll have a broader perspective, and then automatically you will be aligned or guided, and then there's no need to compete, and you can see that the only way forward is through collaboration. I've noticed recently even joint ventures and startups have changed. I can see the subtle trends which are different. Startups are no longer willing to give 90% of their company, for a capital, a capital injection. They're looking for maybe less money, but with different types of people so that they can collaborate and keep the money, but also work with someone, create new products. And I've been reading a few articles and I thought, wow, I like that,
Yes.
Whereas before, you need me. Give me 90% of your company and I'll give you 2 million. That's not there anymore.
Yeah, the classic VC model. It's dangerous, isn't it?
And I can't see, what was it called, that program, the Dragon's Den? I can't see that this will be popular, or it would be maybe in a different form now,
Yes. Well, I think the interesting thing is, just every now and then I catch a little bit of that. I don't watch much television, but it's my husband watching or something.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because I can see that there is a shift now in what people are asking for, because they are looking for the dragon who is going to be most aligned with what they're doing and can give them the most support. So it isn't just about the money.
Yes, and nurture and help them grow, rather than suck them dry, which was what the previous model was,
Yes. We've got about 3 years.
So I can see very interesting talks in the future. Well, this is lovely.
Okay.
Wonderful to speak to you, Karren, and to meet you. And I look forward to reconnecting.